Now my time to spend my money. Been the suffer time to jolly. Oh no, cause if I no get a worry, I can see the bars ready to spend. Oh, I want to celebrate. Oh, I want to take a yeah.
Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'll be sharing how I made the shirt of these two pieces, and I'll be working with this beautiful silk vintage fabric. The vendor of this fabric is J.C Queens Fabric, and she lives in Lagos, Nigeria. For anyone who is in search of a trusted fabric blog, she sells quality silk vintage fabric, crepe, organza, those fabric they use in making two-piece, and the list goes on. I will leave her info in the description, and she delivers worldwide. So I have here my basic bodice pattern, which I've gone ahead to trace out because we'll be contouring to remove excess on the center front so that our shirt will lay nice and flat without any gaping, just like those shirts we buy from OK Boutique or secondhand clothing. You know, there's this fitting they usually give even when the shirt is big. If this is too much of a work for you, you can go ahead and work with your pattern the way it is. But if you want that extra fit on your shirt even when it is big, then let's get right into it. From the bust point, I'm going to mark in a circle the radius of my bust. The radius of your bust is the distance from your bust point to your under bust. So you go ahead and do the same. I'll find the midpoint on the neckline and I'll draw a line from my bust point to that point, and this line will be my contour guideline. On the point where the line touches the circle, I'm going to go out towards the center front by ½ an inch. I'll connect this point to the midpoint and to my bust point with a straight line. I will slash open the waist dart up to the bust point and on the contour guideline as well, making sure not to cut through, so as to enable me close in the excess on the center front, and I'll tape it down just like you see me doing. I'll redraw the bust dart legs up to the bust point so as to enable me close it properly. I'll go ahead and redraw my neckline, but I'll show you a better way to do this so that your neckline does not become too tight around your neck. I've brought out a fresh paper and I've taped down the bodies that we just contoured, and I've also marked out my button extension. From the center front, I'm going to place the neck measurement of 3 by 3 inches. This shirt is for a medium size. Then I'll measure the shoulder width of my original bodice and place it on the contoured one. At the armhole side, I'm going to come down by 1 inch. I'll measure the front chest level from my original basic bodice and place it on the contoured one to enable me place my armpit to armpit measurement. With these points, I will draw in the new armhole curve and the neckline. With my tape on the armhole or bust level, I will place 1/4 of my bust measurement, and for this I used 12 inches. I will go ahead and mark the full length of this shirt. The full length of this shirt I used 27 inches, which I regretted. Would have extended it to 30 inches because of the length I was going for. I'll go ahead and extend these lines. On the hem of the shirt, I placed the same bust measurement here because the measurement I'm working with is already much bigger than my hips. But if your hips are much wider, please place your hip measurement here plus ease. Then on my waistline, I minus 1 inch from my bust measurement, and I'll connect these points. And at the tail end there, I'm going to come up by 2 inches and connect it back into the hem of the shirt with a slight curve. So this is practically all I did for the front shirt pattern. I'll go ahead and cut it out. So guys, this is the pattern of our front shirt and I've gone ahead to cut it out. For the back shirt pattern, I'm going to tape down my back pattern on a fresh paper and plot in my measurements. So guys, I have done that. I have plotted in the same measurements we did on the front to the back pattern, but I made a little adjustment on the measurements which I will be showing you guys. I also discovered that the side seam from the armhole level of my back panel to the waistline was shorter than that of the front. The side seam on the original bodies measured 8 inches, while on the shirt measured 9.5 inches. So I'm going to place the side seam of the original bodies on the shirt and redraw my armhole. The side seam of the original bodies is 8 inches, which is what I'm placing here. I will square it out, and with this point I will draw in the new armhole and add seam allowance. I reduced my chest measurement from 48 inches to 46 inches. So the seam allowance I added on the side seams of the front shirt pattern, I cancelled it out. Then on my back shirt pattern, I marked 12 inches and I'll be taking my seam allowance from this measurement. So when I sew this shirt up, I'm going to end up with 46 inches as my chest measurement. So guys, I'll go ahead and add seam allowance around the armhole, on the shoulder and at the hem of the shirt and cut it out. I will also trim off the seam allowance on the side seam of the front panel. So guys, this is the front and the back shirt pattern all done. For the colors, I already have a tutorial on my channel. I'll leave the link in the description. And for the sleeves, I usually freehand style my sleeve, so I'll go ahead and cut out my pieces. Because of the way the design on this fabric is, for me not to lose too much fabric, the back of my shirt is going to have a joining on the center back. So I have placed my pattern on this fabric the best way possible I can figure out. I'll go ahead and cut out my pieces. So guys, I have my pieces here, my front panel which I have interfaced the button extension with a very lightweight interfacing. I have my back panel which will be joined on the center back. I have my collars as well, which I have interfaced with a very lightweight interfacing, the collar stand and the band, and then I have my sleeve. The length of my sleeve is 9 inches plus half-inch seam allowance to join it to the shoulder, making it 9.5 inches. The band of my sleeve is 7.5 inches on fold plus 1-inch seam allowance. Then the turn-up seam allowance at the hem of the sleeve is 1.5 inches. We'll go ahead and assemble these pieces. I'm going to start first with the back panel. I'm going to join them at the center back and I'll be doing this using the French seam. I'll also sew close the button extension on the front panel as well. For those who are new to my channel, we do lots of French seam on this channel. So I'm sewing with the wrong sides of my fabric facing each other and the right side facing up. I'm sewing at 0.25 inch seam allowance. I will trim this seam allowance to 1 millimeter away from the stitches that I made. Then I'm going to turn my fabric to the wrong side. Now my right sides will be facing each other and the wrong side will be facing up. And I'm going to stitch close this seam with a seam allowance of 0.25 inch. I'll quickly make all the stitches and I'll also stitch the button extension and I'll show us what it looks like. So guys, I have done that. You can see how neat the stitches are. I've also stitched the button extension and I ensured that the design on the fabric matches, which is very important. I'll go ahead and attach the front and back panels first at the shoulders, and I'll be doing this using a French seam, after which I will attach the sleeves. So guys, this is what our shirt is looking like. We have a very neat finish here and it's gradually coming together. To finish off the hem of the sleeves, I'll be doing that with a hemming gun. So I will zigzag stitch this hemming gun on the seam allowance of the sleeve and iron it out. I will also stitch close the side seams of the shirt and finish off the hem of the shirt. So guys, I've done all that. I've stitched close the side seams of the shirt using a French seam. I've also finished off the hem of the shirt. The only thing remaining is to attach our collar. I'll go ahead and prepare the shirt collar. I know we are conversant on how to do this. I'll show the process. Just watch along, and once I'm done, I'll attach the shirt collar to the shirt, and I'll be doing this off camera, and I'll show us the final result. So guys, this brings us to the end of this tutorial. The tutorial to the pattern I used for the shirt will be coming up soon. Do not forget to like this video if it was helpful, share, comment, leave all your questions and suggestions in the comment section. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in my next one. A bientôt!